Not least, we have Bill Brummel. Bill is a Peabody Award winner, ASCO shortlist, 5-time National Emmy nominee, International Documentary Association Award winner, and a 28-year cancer survivor. I'm going to have my AV team start us off with a clip, and then we'll get into this.
I started getting a hoarse voice, and as the months progressed, it got worse and worse. The drains around, so that would be 5-7 days after my operation.
I thought he was really gonna die.
I lost all my confidence and didn't want to speak.
It just changed her personality.
I didn't want anybody else to really see me or hear me. Once I'd been diagnosed with cancer, I went into a survival mode.
Usual protocol, Andrew. I'm going to clip on the count of 3, I'm going to pull it out. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I can show you my hurts. I can show you my pain. In every scars of my own shame.
I remember quite well when I first suggested, let's form a choir. They responded with laughter and surprise and disbelief.
It just seemed ridiculous how you would expect a group of people with no voice boxes to stand up and sing in a choir.
Most of them never sang before. Most of them never were on stage before. And they're going to put on a show, and they're going to add this other 2 or 3 layers of emotional vulnerability.
All right, everyone, just relax. We are prepared, right?
We're doing a concert. The adrenaline rush is incredible. I never thought I would do something like this.
Okay, if you can all join me in welcoming Bill up to the podium for the ultimate cancer survivorship film. Can you hear my voice?
Thank you, Raina. Give me 1 second to get situated. All right. My picture's up there. Oh my, that's a close-up. So, take a good look at me. I'm not exceedingly handsome. I paused for a moment there to allow anyone in the audience the opportunity to shout out in disagreement. Not one of you did. We're getting off to a bad start. It's funny, I've used this opening line in probably about 15 speeches at conferences, and only once did someone say anything. She was sitting in the first row, and she only said it loud enough for about the first 2 rows to hear, and me. She said, "You're okay." Not the ringing endorsement I was hoping for. I accept that I'm not drop-dead gorgeous, but I do get stared at a lot. As I approach, people first notice my eye patch and start formulating their best pirate jokes. I've heard some good ones. How do pirates know they exist? They think, therefore they are. As I move closer, some will recognize or observe this circular device protruding from the front of my neck, and they'll stare. I've been tempted to say, "Ma'am, my eyes are up here." If all of these head and neck accessories fail to gain attention, heads will usually turn when I begin to speak. My speech sounds this way because I have no voice box. I speak with the aid of a voice prosthesis. It's been this way since 2016 when I underwent a laryngectomy. The surgery removes the larynx and creates a neck stoma from which I breathe. But more on that later. I want to start this story more or less where it begins. Once upon a time, my voice sounded good enough to be on national television. One of my first jobs in the entertainment industry was as a production coordinator for a national music video show. Now, my boss liked the sound of my voice so much that over time, eventually probably about 9 months into employment, he made me one of the show's voiceover hosts. So here's a very rare recording of what my voice sounded like in 1985 at the age of about 29. I'm not, oh, there it goes.
You're tuned to Nitrax, the rebel of rock video shows. Our special Bob Dylan Tom Petty weekend continues to get you psyched for their first U.S. tour together. Starting off the video action is the fabulous Thunderbirds. Here's Tough Enough. Up now is what really has to be considered one of the very first videos ever made. From 1965, here's Bob Dylan with Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Flash forward a decade. I had just started my own boutique production company producing documentaries for television. While in production on the first film under my own banner, I developed a low-grade sore throat that would not go away. About 9 months later, I was diagnosed with squamous cell tonsil cancer, which is spread to lymph nodes in the right side of my neck. I was 41 years old, married with 2 small children. I had a lot to live for. After undergoing a radical neck dissection, I endured aggressive radiation treatments, a hefty dose over a wide field for 7 weeks. We celebrated my son's 6th birthday as I was in the hospital on my last day of radiation. Soon, my life returned to the normal challenges and joys of raising a family and of a demanding career. In the 15 years after my diagnosis and treatment, I produced some of my most meaningful and award-winning work. But during this time, the long-term effects from radiation treatment began to emerge. Among other things, I developed chronic vocal cord polyps, esophageal stricture, dysphagia, cervical spine degeneration, and narrowing of the carotid arteries, for which I now have a stent in my right carotid. By 2015, my larynx was significantly scarred. My doctor, Uttam Sinha, at Keck Medicine of USC in Los Angeles, advised me that a laryngectomy was in my future. He promised me that my quality of life would improve long term. But I just couldn't believe how that could be, so I stalled. Not surprisingly, my condition worsened. In March of 2016, I went to a regularly scheduled doctor appointment. I don't think I had uttered more than 2 sentences when Dr. Sinha interrupted me and said firmly and with a lot of urgency, "Bill, we have to do the surgery now." He was concerned I would go home or be in public and have a breathing emergency. He wanted to admit me right there. I vividly remember, sitting in that exam room. My wife was at my side. She was worried sick. My doctor was basically telling me I was risking my life without immediate surgery. I could stall no more. This next clip was recorded 2 days later on the morning of my surgery. My wife asked if she could record my weak, though natural voice one final time.
Okay, what's happening today?
It's 5:30 in the morning, March 12th, 2016. And today I'm giving away my vocal cords. And we'll walk out of here, hopefully with a few days, with a voice prosthesis and a new voice. Although I won't be able to test the voice for several weeks. I'll have to be silent, which will please many people around me. So that is what is happening. Last time you'll hear this voice. So to all of you, I love you. Thank you for all your support and prayers. Here we go.
Losing your natural voice is traumatic. From the time we learn to speak, so much of how we perceive ourselves is wrapped up in the natural, in the tone and timbre of its unique tone and timbre of our voices. It expresses laughter, sadness, anger, excitement, happiness, a manifestation of our identities. Now, the challenges laryngitis people face are many. Most feel embarrassment and shame by the way they look and sound. So they tend to isolate themselves from friends, family, and the community. There are changes to our ability to eat and swallow. It takes us longer to swallow. It's almost impossible to eat and have a conversation at the same time. Meals are shared, communal, family rituals. Ours are very quiet. Because we're unable to project, it's hard to be heard against background noises. So common social activities, like going to parties, restaurants, bars, concerts, can be very difficult when you cannot participate in the conversation. Our sense of smell is reduced or disappears, and we lose the ability to laugh out loud. Still the thing that bothers me the most. These combined issues and more often lead to severe depression. Many people stop participating in their communities and in their roles as parents and partners and friends. This is a clip from my film, Can You Hear My Voice? And it illustrates this issue in a very up-close and personal way. It features Sarah, who is the emotional core of the film.
I have 2 vivid memories. The first one is just before going down to theatre and having that realisation that when I came back out, I wasn't going to be the same person. could never be me. Again, because they would have taken my part of my personality, which was me, my voice. And then when I came round, I couldn't call for help. And that was so frightening, really scary.
A laryngectomy is a long and complicated surgery, usually done in more advanced stages of laryngeal cancer, including cancer on the vocal folds. It involves opening up the neck and then removing the larynx or voice box entirely. When the larynx is removed, it severs the connection between the lungs and airway to the mouth and nose. So in order to allow for breathing, the trachea is brought forward to a surgically created hole or stoma in the front of the neck.
So they gave me a total laryngectomy. That was in February. And then it was in April that I started an intense chemoradiotherapy treatment.
For me, the hardest part was the chemotherapy and radiotherapy. I could deal with seeing the hole in the neck, but to see her go through the radiotherapy was pretty dramatic.
I had third-degree burns all the way round my neck. It was awful. It was so painful.
It looked exactly like somebody had just put a blowtorch to her neck. It was absolutely horrific.
Life was pretty awful, actually, coming to terms with all of this. I lost all my confidence and didn't want to speak. You can sound very angry all the time, even when you're not. I didn't want anybody else to really see me or hear me.
The voice is a really essential part of who we are and how we express ourselves, both personally and with other people. And there's an enormous sense of loss that can occur when somebody loses their natural voice or the voice they had before.
And there was all the other things to contend with as well, not being able to swallow properly and losing all my taste with radiotherapy, suddenly gone. I think loss of laughter is one of the most difficult things for me. So it's just one thing after another, and it just, I don't know, it just made me angry all the time.
Emotional changes were quite dramatic. She was very, very moody at times. She just felt that everybody was staring at her, and it just changed her personality.
We know from evidence that people who've had a laryngectomy can be much more likely to experience anxiety, depression, social withdrawal, that can have a really important impact on relationships.
The emotional side is the hardest part of caregiving. But that's part of a relationship. You take the bad times with the good times.
I know that I wasn't a very good patient, because I know that there were times when I was really horrible to him, because I wasn't dealing with my situation. And I took it out on him, but he's still here. Stayed with me, regardless.
After surgery, everyone's journey varies, but most experience emotions similar to Sarah's. For my part, physical recovery was awful, but worse yet, I was saddled with insecurity and fear and doubt. When we lose self-confidence and self-worth, we can easily retreat from society and withdraw into a world where we don't have to speak, eat, or be seen in public. Like Zara, I didn't want anyone to see or hear me. I was embarrassed by the way I sounded. The stares bothered me. I found it easier to isolate rather than navigate. Back then, if you would have told me, or if you would have asked me how I was going to live the rest of my life, breathing through a hole in my neck and without a voice box, I would have told you that you could find me in the fetal position forever in bed. Metaphorically, that's about what happened for about 6 months or so. I couldn't cope with my new deficits or find my place in the world. But that's not what happened. I did not end up in the fetal position forever. And it's not because I'm the least bit extraordinary. It's because, and I really believe this, it's because I'm like most people. I'm like you, and you, and you. We are all stronger and more resilient than we know. Sometimes it just takes confronting overwhelming adversity for us to find that out. I've seen it time and time again in patients I counsel who have just had a laryngectomy or just going to have a laryngectomy. In the beginning, most feel hopeless and overwhelmed, but in the end, most persevere. Now, it helps to have a positive and determined state of mind, but resilience after cancer is not just about having the fortitude to bounce back. It's about other factors, external factors, such as social support systems and access to healthcare resources, both medical and psychological. This next clip from the film takes place in a support group for laryngectomized persons and their families. It features the most dapper choir member, Bug, and his wife, his beautiful wife, and child.
I think it's good going to a support group, talking to other laryngectomies, really. It's just a chance to compare notes.
I think a group like this is really important for the people that have had the surgery, but also for their partners and their families. It can be very isolating.
I'm delighted to see so many spouses here. How did it affect you?
Well, it's really trivial. I just miss hearing Alan laugh. Now it's just a sort of it's not, he used to have a really infectious laugh, and I miss that.
Something that annoys me is if people talk to me instead of talking to him. Would Alan like a cup of tea type of thing, that really gets to me. Does Alan, I say, well, ask him, he can sort of converse with you in his own way.
Do you find the reaction of other people difficult? Do you get embarrassed? Do you find people turning when you talk or looking at your neck or anything like that?
Initially, I did wear sort of things that almost covered it, but actually, I don't anymore.
No.
You sort of get by that. This is what I've got, this is me now, so I just wear whatever.
I think I've been quite lucky in that in the 3.5 years, I've only had 3 or 4 sort of negative responses, and generally people are really good.
What I tend to get is people saying, "Oh, have you got a bad throat?" And I just say yes, because it's so much easier.
Lily, you were sitting there very quietly. What was your thoughts when your dad had his laryngectomy?
It wasn't really a big deal because he handled it so well, and everyone just handled it really well, and it was kind of just like a cold or a fever or something.
When you have friends coming to the house, do they just take it as normal?
Oh, they think that they're his best friend. You sometimes get embarrassed about like my friends, or you used to, but they think that you sound cool, so.
Bless them.
She got nice friends.
Yes.
Really
Well, that's
nice
the
friends.
key, isn't it?
Yeah, they are lovely kids, yeah. It's just a nice atmosphere. I remember the first time we went, I was like, oh my God, what's this going to be like? They're all really interesting people.
I was fortunate to be treated by USC's head and neck cancer team, who lived by the mantra of treating the patient and not just the disease. In this integrative approach to cancer care, there were social workers, psychologists, and support groups. There were physical, speech, and occupational therapists, clinicians, doctors, nurse navigators, dietitians. They offered a holistic approach to health care that includes traditional medicine, counseling, nutrition, exercise, mindfulness, and meditation. Amid my emotional and physical fragility, I went to weekly physical therapy session and did daily stretching exercises. My wife and I attended 2 support groups, still do. In fact, my wife now facilitates a support group for head and neck cancer caregivers. When stress crept in, I practiced deep breathing. I started to eat a healthier diet. And I think most importantly for me anyway, I started a walking regimen that began with just going a quarter block immediately after my surgery, but eventually led to 4 or 5 5-mile hikes at least 6 days a week. Through these actions, I slowly regained confidence and realized that my life was not over. It was just changed. Quite drastically changed, but just changed. The stares no longer bothered me. People are just curious. At times, I'm still very frustrated by the way I sound, but I'm not embarrassed by it. My natural voice is gone. It's never coming back. But I still have a voice, both figuratively and literally. Now, my literal voice is produced with the aid of a voice prosthesis. Now, the first step for someone like me who elects to speak with a voice prosthesis is to have a tracheoesophageal puncture, or TEP, surgery. The surgeon will puncture a small hole in the common wall between the esophagus and trachea. It's in this small puncture that the voice prosthesis sits. I'm going to let this clip explain further. Andrew Beaumont is a delightful choir member who graciously allowed us to film as he visited his speech therapist for a voice prosthesis change.
Andrew, do you want to come through?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. We're just in treatment room 2.
Usual problems.
Yeah, come on through.
I would describe Andrew as a stubborn optimist. He's always trying to find the best in everything.
Okay. We'll just get ourselves set up, Andrew, and if you want to just take a seat on the bed.
This is becoming a very familiar bed. No.
Don't get too comfy.
Yeah, I know.
We like to get them nice and comfortable on the bed. We'll talk to them about if there's been any problems with their valve change, how they've been doing with their voicing.
A voice essentially is produced by vibration. So usually when you have a larynx, you use your vocal cords, they vibrate against each other. So once you have a vibration coming up, which is the voice, so just a ah, that's just a vibration by itself, you then shape that vibration into different sounds, different speech sounds, for example, by moving the teeth, the tongue, the lips, the jaw position, how open and closed your mouth is. All of those subtle variations are to do with your articulations that happen inside the mouth, and they are shaping that vibration, which is your voice. There are a few main ways of getting some voice after a laryngectomy.
So the first option we've got is the electrolarynx, and this is the device. It works by placing it against the skin of the chin or the neck, and you just press the button, and it causes a vibration that travels up through the tissue into the mouth, and then you shape that vibration with your teeth, your tongue, your lips, as you would speech. So that's the first option. The second option is esophageal speech, and that is created by air being drawn into the esophagus. That air is then brought up, and it's the walls of the esophagus that vibrate to produce the voice.
Perhaps the most common one, or certainly the one that we aim for, is using a voice prosthesis.
The voice prosthesis itself doesn't actually produce any sound. The way it works is that this sits in between the trachea and the esophagus, and inside it there is a small one-way valve. So this allows air through from the lungs into the esophagus.
That means that when somebody covers over the hole in their neck, the stoma, air can travel backwards through the valve, and then the air vibrates in the back of the throat and comes up as a voice.
So, usual protocol, Andrew. I'm going to clip on. On the count of 3, I'm going to pull it out. If you can try not to swallow for us, okay? Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to put the dilator in for a moment. There we go. Just hold that there for a sec.
We sometimes place a dilator just to block the hole in between the food pipe and the windpipe, just to make sure that nothing comes through whilst we're getting the new voice prosthesis prepared.
Right, if you want to take that out for me, Emma, we'll try with the valve.
And then we will remove that dilator, pop in the new voice prosthesis.
I know it's a little bit difficult when I'm pushing in your throat. So, that looks good. I'm just going to take the introducer stick off, Andrew, okay? All right. Okay, good. Perfect. Well done. Okay. Do you want to try and get some voice for us, Andrew? Testing, testing?
Testing.
Okay, do you want to take a few sips of water for us just to check that it's not leaking? Do you want to sit up a little bit? It might be a little bit easier. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, nothing. Lovely. If you just lay back down, and we'll just cut the tab on there, okay? All done? You're all done, Andrew. Let me put
I'm all like you again.
Yes. So this is an HME, which stands for heat and moisture exchange. And this is essentially a person's replacement nose.
When you've had a laryngectomy and you're breathing in and out through the neck, you're just breathing room air without it having been filtered, warmed or moistened at all, and the lungs really don't like it very much. So one of the benefits of using HME is that it massively improves the condition of your lungs.
You've got your HME, perfect.
There we are. I'm alive and kicking. Thank you very much, ladies.
All right, see you later, Andrew. You take care now, all right? Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye.
About a year after my surgery, my doctor suggested that I make a documentary about the psychosocial aspects of recovering from a laryngectomy and living with a voice box and living without a voice box. Now, my first impression was, stick to medicine, doc. I'm the professional now. Just kidding, it was a really good idea, but it was a topic, not a story. So I went home, fired up Google, and was delighted to discover very quickly the Shattuck Cancer Choir. Now, from a film producer perspective, the idea of a bunch of people without voice boxes singing in a choir leapt out at me. The choir is founded by Thomas Moores, an ENT doctor and former member of the Belgian Boys Choir. He theorized that the use of singing techniques might help laryngectomized persons improved breath control, vocal pitch, and strength. I knew that as a laryngectomized person and a filmmaker, I was in a unique position to tell the story and do it with the needed sensitivity. I sensed that the choir would be the perfect vehicle for telling the story I wanted to tell, that of a group of patients and their families, dealing with all the hardships of cancer and a laryngectomy, yet still living confident, productive, enjoyable, and creative lives. Within 2 months of production, I discovered that the Shattuck Cancer Choir is really a support group on steroids.
I remember being in work one day, just going about my daily business as a speech and language therapist, and a colleague mentioned that an ENT doctor had approached her about starting a laryngectomy choir. I think I sort of laughed initially at the idea, and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. It's so ironic. That's a fabulous idea.
Shattuck Cancer started as voice rehabilitation sessions at Adam Brooks Hospital. Just a very small group of us that started going there and learning these breathing techniques.
Of course I was cynical when I heard about Shattuck Cancer, but I really liked lateral thinkers because I knew that the problems that I suffered from required imagination and a different approach.
Take your hands together, and I just want you to press gently, taking some air in and letting it out. I am a professional opera singer. I was in a production, and this young guy came up and he said, "Hi, I'm Thomas Moores." He said, "I want somebody that really knows about voice and singing and could really work with the patients on their breathing."
Breathing is the power behind the voice. For their voicing, they have the speech valve, which is very, very tiny. They have to push the air through the speech valve, and they need 7.5 times more pressure from their lungs to start creating voice.
I remember us noticing really quite early that actually this was something really powerful, not only because of the way the techniques impacted the voice, but also the community element, the social element, the meeting other people, but not just meeting other people like a support group, meeting other people to do something together, to do these exercises together, to do these singing or this poetry together, and that seemed to have a really powerful bonding experience in a way that I hadn't really seen before.
Singing in the choir has given me more confidence to go out there and just be myself. You always got a mental thing in the back of your mind when you're allowed these people staring at me. I don't care no more. They can stare. When I joined the choir, it was quite daunting because I've never done anything like this before in my life, you know. But I tell my youngest daughter she should do things that frighten her. So I thought I'd better put my money where my mouth is.
Better, eh? Yeah, you could tell straight away. All right, we have to wrap up.
I've always believed in the healing power of music. One just needs to be open to accepting its gifts. I have a very extensive music library, but there's probably one song I've listened to as much as any. You've probably heard it. It's among Bruce Springsteen's most well-regarded songs. After my cancer diagnosis, I adopted the song Badlands as my cancer recovery anthem. The song is about finding the strength to push through adversity and fear. To me, the word Badlands in the song is a metaphor for cancer. Now, for those of you who have never heard the song, shame on you. Here's a sampling of the lyric. I believe in the love that you gave me. I believe in the faith that could save me. I believe in the hope, and I pray that someday it may raise me above these Badlands, cancer. These words express optimism and the belief that we will overcome our burdens and that there will be people along the way to help us. Now these next lines take a different approach, more of the attitude of the popular slogan, F you cancer. I want to find one face that ain't looking through me. I want to find one place. I want to spit in the face of these Badlands, cancer. Anger and hope. Both mindsets are real. Both are appropriate. Most of us have lost loved ones to cancer. I lost my mom when I was just 17 years old. I've lost several friends, one of whom was in her early 40s. And about 10 years ago, I lost my sister. But I believe that all those I've lost are here today in this room. I believe that all those you've lost are here today in this room. They are here because we are here. And I imagine and I hope that they are trying to tell us something like Springsteen is trying to tell us when he sings this essential line in Badlands. It ain't no sin to be glad you're alive. I wake up most mornings grateful to be alive and for so much more. I've been married for 39 years to the most extraordinary woman I know. She's been at my side through cancer, through a hemorrhagic stroke, my laryngectomy, and most recently, a week-long stay in ICU as I battled septic shock. I've been able to experience the sheer delight of seeing my children grow into responsible and caring adults. And I'm still around to play with my two beautiful grandchildren who bring me such intense joy. Indeed, it ain't no sin to be glad you're alive.
Years pass, and the knowledge that they're stolen years makes them more precious. Momentous moments. A wade in the water with tropical fish in the Caribbean. Touching the walls of the Colosseum. And the little moments. A joke with the kids. A beautiful sunset. And then light bulb flash. Epiphany. Little moments are also momentous moments. And every day becomes a wonder. And now, back to my first love. 2 wheels and an engine. Touching 16. down a leafy Hampshire lane. The wind whistles into my stoma like a joyful turbocharger. Life is good. I swim. I make beauty.
I support. I write.
I teach. I ride.
I am me.
We sing. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white. The bright pleasant day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. Babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
In 2002, after singer-songwriter Warren Zevon was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, David Letterman devoted an entire show to his friend, and he invited Zevon on for an interview. Now, in what could have easily been a maudlin interview, Zevon's characteristic dry wit remained intact. He joked that perhaps he had made a tactical error, in that the only doctor he had seen in the previous 25 years was Dr. Stan, his dentist. Letterman then asked Zevon if, given his current perspective, did he know something about life that the rest of us don't? Zevon smiled and simply replied, maybe it's just to enjoy every sandwich. As someone whose swallowing has been compromised by radiation and surgery, I'm aware of the irony of making my life mantra, enjoy every sandwich. And I realize that, well, Zevon's advice is something for which we all should strive. It's a bit naive. Sometimes you just get a bad sandwich. But the metaphor has stuck with me over the years. Fighting cancer is a battle. There are no guarantees. Outcomes vary. but I firmly believe that victory shouldn't be measured by how, let me start again. I firmly believe that victory should be measured not by how long we live, but by how well we live. In some ways, the most fundamental battles are between despair and hope, between stress and mindfulness, between isolation and community. And the funny thing is when we win these very real battles, generally, we live longer and more fulfilling lives. I want to leave you, well, I want to say something afterwards. I know I'm out of time, but no one's coming after me, so. This last clip is the finale of the film. And one of the unique things about Shout at Cancer is they sometimes rewrite the lyrics of popular songs to better explain the impact of cancer and a laryngectomy. This song was originally popularized by Nina Simone in the early 1970s. The Shout at Cancer rewrite recognizes our losses, but then at the end, rocks with joy and appreciation for all that we still have and still can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately this has become the end of our beautiful show. I hope you've enjoyed. We are Shout at Cancer, and if there's one thing we've learned is that we can't do this by ourselves. We need all your support, because it's together that we shout louder. We Shout at Cancer, we tell the story of the layered impact after laryngectomy, and we use music to do incredible things. Thank you for being here. Our last song. We found our voice, our own version of Nina Simone, Ain't Got No.
Ain't got no chords, ain't got no spell. My brain and tongue don't talk too well. Ain't got no cold, it's hard to swallow. Can't have a meal without a fight. Ain't got no choice. I close my eyes, I show you my pain. It left me scars of my own shame. It took my strength, it took my mouth. It left me lonely, silent and without any words, only hope.
Hey, what have I got? Why am I alive anyway? Yeah, what have I got? Nobody can take it away.
Got my hair, got my head, got my brains, got my ears, got my eyes, got my nose, got my mouth. I got my smile. Got my mouth, got my tongue, got my teeth to make the sounds, make my accent, change my breath, got control. Oh, I got voice.
in interest of time, I'm cutting the standing ovation, which went on for about 2 minutes. In closing, earlier I mentioned some people for whom I'm grateful. I'm also indebted to another group of people. You. Oncology nurses in the hospital and in medical offices, other clinicians who encountered me during my darkest hours and in my most vulnerable states and helped nurse me back to wellness. I don't need to tell you that nurses are overworked and overlooked at times. Sometimes you may be yelled at by your patients. Truth be told, sometimes it's the doctor yelling. Your feet will hurt after long shifts. You'll be emotionally and physically exhausted. At those times, you may want to throw an IV bag across the room or take the laptop and crush it and stomp on it. But in these moments, I hope that you can go back in time to when you were first deciding what you wanted to do with your life. Why did you enter nursing? For most of you, the desire to make a difference in people's lives was a driving force. You recognized your capacity to offer care and support for those in their time of need. So in these times of difficulty, when you want to throw the IV bag, remember the reasons that inspired you to become a nurse. Remember the why. Reconnect with the why. Embrace the why. And don't ever forget, you are making a profound difference in the lives of patients and their families experiencing the cruelest moments of cancer. We, the recipients of your care, are living proof of your impact. We see you, we hear you, and gosh darn it, we thank you. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure to share with you today. May you enjoy most of your sandwiches and just throw away the bad ones. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I know we've run out of time, but if you have some questions, email me at that email address. And I'm happy to take questions if you want, if the powers that be allow it. And I will say that Sarah here has seen this presentation now 3 times.
And I love it every time. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I'll let you get to it.
All right. I told you guys, stay till the end. Best things happen at the end. And on that note, we're going to start with cocktail hour. But I do want to tell you a couple tiny things. We can recycle badges, so turn them in so we can reuse them. Please stay for cocktail hour. It's meant to be so that you guys can get to know each other and make connections across all kinds of platforms. So please join us. We're here till 5:30. Yeah, sure-ish. So come and have some fun with us. And thank you all again for being here today. We've really enjoyed it.